I don't have any words. I don't even know how I can do a review right now. This show has just messed me up as a person, as a viewer, as a Marvel fan. I feel like we're all just playing into Kevin Feige's hand exactly the way he wanted us to. And at the end of the day, they're doing something special. I don't know how you talk about the show without spoiling it. But like, hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the C-Man, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down. Let's not waste any time. You see, we got the new shirt on, rocking the Halloween costumes because this is the Halloween episode. So, like I said, let's not waste any time. Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in, spoiler-free, into WandaVision, episode 6. It is really so hard to talk about the show without spoiling it. What I can tell you is I feel like we're just playing in Kevin Feige's hands and like Marvel's creative team. Like I said last week after the poster came out, and like people started like, oh man, like do you just see that thing that's right in the middle of it? And you know, it just played right into some of the other theories and things that people were thinking as comic book fans. This is one of those times where being the comic book fan, I think, hurts a little bit because what do we know? But I like being an outside audience member might be making this easier to digest or deal with, because it's not that I'm even disappointed. I'm so glad. It's just like he's so smart. that's what this non-spoiler review is gonna be. Is me just praising how smart Kevin Feige is. But like I said it last week, it felt like too many things were just kind of being thrown right in our face. And like, you think about the secrets that Marvel has kept over the years. All of a sudden, your first thing back in over a year. And like, things just leak or content gets out. And the fans flock to it. There are so many things hidden into the episodes, right? Like words or things people say or Easter eggs from the comics that are just built in there. And like Kevin Feige knows, this is a streaming service. You can literally watch this frame by frame. He knew people were gonna pick this thing apart, and I think we've all fallen for a giant dupe. I mean, it might not. It could still, I think, play out several different ways. But based on what I got in this episode, I think we're thinking too hard. I'm going to just say that Kevin Feige's a genius. The guy is so ahead of the curve. If this is going where I think it's going, oh man, kudos to you, Kevin Feige. You've got us like a fish on a going after a worm and getting caught on a hook, man. Wherever you want to lead the audience, it's like this guy sat back for how long and watched how people respond to these things and watch how people dissect things once they get out into home video and stuff, or DVD or Blu-ray. I'm sounding so old. Oh, we were in the 90s this episode. I guess I should talk a little bit about the episode. The episode was great. I loved it. It breaks your mind several times. Because, like, 1 minute I'm like, ooh, and then I'm like, wait, what? And then I'm like, oh, and then you're like, the episode's over. That's my biggest gripe. This episode is the first episode all season that I felt was way too short. Like, the things they got going on, I was like, I was here, man. I was like, oh, things are happening? What? But it was great. The '90s sitcom references, are solid. There's not a ton of them, but if you grew up watching what '90s sitcoms were, you definitely hit a few things in this episode. Specifically, the opening. I loved the opening. Oh, when the opening started, I got giddy because I was like, "Oh, we're going there." But just like I said, the '90s stuff was great. The Halloween stuff, like seeing the costumes that everybody's wearing. Like when you think about our entire cast, it was awesome. Like the way they handle that stuff, I was like, yes, dude, and like you're leading into it early, and you're like, and then you're like, oh man, like I love the Halloween stuff. That was really good. And then as far as the episode goes, we definitely learned some things. But like I said, I still feel like the show could go like a bunch of different ways right now, and there are things in this episode that we're gonna dissect. I'm gonna talk about in the spoiler review, and it could just be I just keep playing into the hand because I can't not help it because like it does feel like there's more going on than what we're seeing, and we're starting to get little bits and pieces. But there's some good curveballs in this episode for sure, and there are some hysterical moments. I'd say the first up to the first commercial break, which felt like it came way too fast, but like up to the first commercial break, out loud laughing. Some of the sitcom stuff was just it was so good. But yeah, like the performances obviously are fantastic. We're in like Liz Olsen and Paul Bettany wheelhouse right now because these two are just acting their butts off. And in this episode in particular, they're doing so much. Like the way they're handling, and it's the subtleties to what they're doing. It's just it's perfection to watch. And the things that Wanda juggles in this episode, and she swings to a few different like places just based on what's happening in the episode. And every time she has to shift gears, you're just like, it's so impressive. And I really enjoy the kids. Tommy is easily my favorite of the two. That kid has it. Like, he has that thing that makes you pop. Billy's still a little, like, kind of subtle, but I almost think that may have been intentional. And what they do with the boys this episode is fun. And then, just in case you haven't caught all the way up, I won't spoil who the other person we kind of hang out with is, but what they've got going on in the episode and how they interact with the family is just super enjoyable, and the person doing all that stuff is just so good at it. But there's some interesting things going on with that character too that kind of play into this bigger conversation that got started last week. So we'll definitely hit that on the spoiler review. And like our neighbors, we revisit with two of our neighbors this episode. Both very interesting, and it's starting to reveal some more context. But like, you're still like, I don't fully know. And then when you're outside the hex, the stuff they got going on with Sword and Monica is good, and that story is going to places where you're like, oh, what are we starting to like? There are two stories happening simultaneously, and like they're both having pieces of information delivered that are semi-big like simultaneously. It's everything about this show, the craftsmanship, the production value, and I commend Marvel for going as dark as they're going. This is one of the darkest episodes. This is probably the darkest episode that we've had so far, and it's so strange because it's layered underneath a 90s sitcom. So like real like crazy things are going on, and you're hearing this like upbeat like 90s like I'm having fun, I want to joke and laugh, and you're just sitting there going, this is dark. And I'm glad that Marvel is willing to go there, and it gets me so excited for how twisted and potentially dark Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Like, you put madness in the title, oh, this show feels like it could be setting up some really twisted madness, and I'm about it. So there you go, man. I've just blabbed for a bunch of minutes, not being able to really say anything. But, oh, there's so many things we have to say in the next one. So there you go, man. Those are all my non-spoiler thoughts on WandaVision episode number 6. At the hour of like 3, between 3 and 4, the episode title hasn't gone up yet. So we don't know what's going on there. And the one thing I didn't mention, the commercial, is fun and interesting. I got some thoughts. But pay attention, like that one, if you grew up in the 90s, I was like, oh, all right. That's pretty solid. Although I feel like, that's pretty solid. So you got that. But like I said, I haven't really been able to say much, but we got so much to say in the next one. So that's it, man. I'm done. That's the non-spoiler review. I love this show. I want to know what you're thinking. No spoilers on this one, please. But if you have any comments about the episode, things that you like, things that I kind of was like trying to dance around, I'm like, oh, how awesome was that? And like, how dark and how crazy was that? Tell me what you were digging this episode, what you weren't digging. If you haven't watched, what are you doing? Are you waiting to watch it all at once? Kind of just binge it? What did you think about, like, are we starting to get to a place where if you haven't watched any episodes, are you behind? Are you like, ooh, now I need to catch up? Because it seems like things are getting really gripping. Anything you're thinking, good, bad, indifferent about WandaVision, goes down below in the comments section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the old C-Man every Friday morning, bright and early, 3 a.m. Tonight, we didn't even go to sleep. If you were following, I was cranking out videos right before this. So we haven't slept yet. I'm a little loopy. But if you want to be here for Fridays when we watch WandaVision, I watch WandaVision and then I talk about WandaVision. You want to be here for that. Any other things we're talking, I talk so much movies, TV, trailer reactions, and you haven't yet, you kind of dig what we're doing, you want to come hang around some more, I urge you, man, come join C-Maniac Nation by hitting that subscribe button. Hit that little bell if you want those alerts. If not, hey, that's cool. Just hope you come on back and give us another run. See what the old C-Man's cooking up as we continue on this wild journey that is WandaVision. So you guys do all that stuff for me. I'm going to get this edited up and then start cranking on that spoiler review for you guys. And until that time, for the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down, I've been the C-Man and I'm signing off. Peace. Well, as I live and breathe, you still here? Check out a video like this one or this one and hit the subscribe button so you can get alerts and check out everything the C-Man's got at the Cinema Sit Down.